All righty. It is 6:58 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am AnneHumphrey, the creator of this fantastic group, The Science of Getting Rich, Mindset and Mastermind. My God, this is like, I am so excited about the possibilities and what is going to manifest. It is going to be outrageous, wildly successful. I already know, like I know. And today, actually this evening, I'm in the Eastern Standard Time zone for those of you who may live in a different time zone. I decided to read chapter 1. Why not? Read chapter 1 of The Science of Getting Rich. The key is, it's very important that you guys print out the book or go to Barnes & Noble and get the book and begin reading it ASAP. It is imperative that you do, as along with listening to it on audio. I know some people have told me that they've been listening to the audio while they work out, during their workout, while they are in their car. So whatever it is, whatever your method of learning is, do it. Do what's best for you. So the time now is 7 p.m. sharp, and I want to get into reading this. This is so good. I'm so excited about this. So excited. So again, here's my book, The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. Wallace D. Wattles. Wallace D. Wattles. The Science of Getting Rich. And we're going to dive deep. There are 17 chapters. To show that to you close up. 17 chapters. But the chapter that we are going to dive in today is the right to be rich. Now, for those of you who've already seen my video, the welcome, the intro, and the rules of engagement video that I just did the other day, I read a passage from The Right to Be Rich. But today, we're going to read the entire chapter. And I'm so thrilled, and I know that you will be too. So let's just dive on in. Again, chapter 1, the right to be rich. The right to be rich. I'm going to go over everything here, okay? The right to be rich, okay? Whatever may be said in praise or of poverty, the fact remains that it is not possible to live a really complete or successful life unless one is rich. No man can rise to his greatest possible height in talent or soul development unless he has plenty of money. For to unfold the soul and to develop talent, he must have many things to use. And he cannot have these things unless he has money to buy them with. A man develops in mind, soul, and body by making use of things. And society is so organized that man must have money in order to become the possessor of things. Therefore, The basis of all advancement for man must be the science of getting rich. The object of all life is development, and everything that lives has an inalienable right to all the development it is capable of attaining. Man's right to life means his right to have the free and unrestricted use of all things which may be necessary to his fullest mental, spiritual, and physical unfoldment, or in other words, his right to be rich. In this book, I shall not speak of riches in a figurative way. To be really rich does not mean to be satisfied or contented with a little. No man ought to be satisfied with a little if he is capable of using and enjoying more. The purpose of nature is the advancement and unfoldment of life, and every man should have all that can contribute to the power, elegance, beauty, and richness of life. And to be content with less is sinful. The man who owns all he wants for the living of all the life he is capable of living is rich. And no man who has not plenty of money can have all he wants. Life has advanced so far and become so complex that even the most ordinary man or woman requires a great amount of wealth in order to live in a manner that even approaches completeness. Every person naturally wants to become all that they are capable of becoming. This desire to realize innate possibilities is inherent in human nature. We cannot help wanting to be all that we can be. Success in life is becoming what you want to be. You can become what you want to be only by making use of things. And you can have the free use of things only as you become rich enough to buy them. To understand the science of getting rich is therefore the most essential of all knowledge. There is nothing wrong in wanting to get rich. The desire for riches is really the desire for a richer, fuller, and more abundant life. And that desire is praiseworthy. The man who does not desire to live more abundantly is abnormal. And so the man who does not desire to have money enough to buy all he wants is abnormal. There are three motives for which we live. We live for the body, we live for the mind, and we live for the soul. No one of these is better or holier than the other. All are alike desirable, and no one of the three, body, mind, or soul, can live fully if either of the others is cut short of full life and expression. It is not right or noble to live only for the soul and deny mind or body. And it is wrong to live for the intellect and deny body and soul. We are all acquainted with the loathsome consequences of living for the body and denying both mind and soul. And we see the real life means the complete expression of all that man can give forth through body, mind, and soul. Whatever he can say, no man can be really happy or satisfied unless his body is living fully in every function. And unless the same is true of his mind and his soul, whenever there is unexpressed possibility or function not performed, there is unsatisfied desire. Desire is possibility seeking expression, or function seeking performance. Man cannot live fully in body without good food, comfortable clothing, and warm shelter, and without freedom from excessive toil. Rest and recreation are also necessary to his physical life. He cannot live fully in mind without books and time to study them, without opportunity for travel and observation, or without intellectual companionship. To live fully in mind, he must have intellectual recreations and must surround himself with all the objects of art and beauty he is capable of using and appreciating. To live fully in soul, man must have love, and love is denied expression by poverty. A man's highest happiness is found in the bestowal of benefits on those he loves. Love finds its most natural and spontaneous expression in giving. The man who has nothing to give cannot fill his place as a husband or father, as a citizen, or as a man. It is in the use of material things that a man finds full life for his body, develops his mind, and unfolds his soul. It is therefore a supreme importance to him that he should be rich. It is perfectly right that you should desire to be rich. If you are a normal man or woman, you cannot help doing so. It is perfectly right that you should give your best attention to the science of getting rich, for it is the noblest and most necessary of all studies. If you neglect this study, you are derelict in your duty to yourself, to God, and humanity. For you can render to God and humanity no greater service than to make the most of yourself. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, this is such a powerful, powerful chapter, powerful book. The Science of Getting Rich, Wallace D. Wattles. I keep showing this. I keep this with me. He says in further chapters that this is the only book that you need to read. The only book you need to read. In fact, let me quote it. I'm going to read some short excerpts. That was the end of chapter 1. Chapter 1, we finished. See? And those are my notes. I usually like to write things out as well. And the reason why I like to do that, I like to rewrite what I've read, especially if something resonated with me, because I definitely understand the power of vibration and frequency. And it's so important that I vibrate with it. So I rewrite it. So now, not only am I reading it, not only am I going to hear it, but my hands, my fingers, the pen to paper, I'm writing exactly what resonates with my soul. So that was the ending of chapter 1. Again, let me just go back here. The right to be rich. The right to be rich. You've got to know that, folks. It is your right. It is your divine right to be rich. So I want to read a couple of the excerpts while I'm already here on the video live, because there are certain things, certain philosophies that Mr. Wallace D. Wattles came up with, certain strategies that he shared in this book, and I just was like, whoa, this is so phenomenal, because there is a strategy to getting rich. So he shares it so eloquently. And if you have the PDF version, if you have the same kind that I have, because I don't know what page yours would be on, but where I'm going to read from is this chapter here. I'm going to read a short excerpt. Chapter 10, Further Use of the Will. Chapter 10, Further Use of the Will. And of course, I'm going to show it to you. Further use of the will. See? Further use of the will. Let's see how we get that with the camera. Okay, there we are. Further use of the will. Chapter 10. But the excerpt that I'm going to read from, oh goodness, chapter 2. I mean, every chapter is powerful. You just got to read it. But this excerpt on page 41, at least it's on page 41 of my book. See my little notes there? Okay. All right. Let's do it like this. See my little notes? Okay, well, it's page 41 of my book. I don't know if it's the same page, because don't forget, I've already had this printed out, and I've had this for a few years. So I don't know with the version that I'm giving to you if it's the same page, but when you go to chapter 10, you'll be able to find it. So this is the strategy that Mr. Wallace D. Wattles used and shared so eloquently in chapter 10. Again, chapter 10 is further use of the will. Further use of the will. He says, read this book every day. Keep it with you. Commit it to memory, and do not think about other systems and theories. If you do, you will begin to have doubts and to be uncertain and wavering in your thought, and then you will begin to make failures. After you have made good and become rich, you may study other systems as much as you please, but until you are quite sure that you have gained what you want, do not read anything on this line but this book, unless it be the authors mentioned in the preface. So he's got a system, guys. He's got a system, and I just want to read another excerpt, because I'm just in awe with this book. I'm in awe with this book. Oh goodness. Something he says here, and of course I'm going to read every chapter, but I'm going to give excerpts for other upcoming chapters. Something that will just resonate with my soul. You will notice that, I'll also say this, you will also notice that Mr. Wallace D. Wattles speaks about doing things in a certain way throughout the book. That's just a clue I'll give to you. He speaks about that throughout the book. Doing things in a certain way. My goodness. Let's see. Oh, I want to read this area here, because this is, again, is about mindset. And oftentimes, some people have very poor mindsets. And this is the reason why this book The Science of Getting Rich by Mr. Wallace D. Wattles is needed. Again, I'm going to go back to chapter 9, how to use the will. Well, let's see. Yes, how to use the will. And there's an excerpt that I love. Well, actually, the first excerpt that I read was from chapter 10, further use of the will. Now I'm going to back up to chapter 9 and give you a little excerpt from there, how to use the will. Again, how to use the will. Let's show you this like that, how to use the will. Okay? So I'm going to do this little excerpt here, which I found, it resonated with my soul, and I know it will do the same for you. Because when I read this, I was like, wow, this is so imperative. And this is the reason why I've always thought this way. But wait till you hear how the way he puts it. He says, people must be taught to become rich by creation, not by competition. Every man who becomes rich by competition throws down behind him the ladder by which he rises and keeps others down. But every man who gets rich by creation opens a way for thousands to follow him and inspires them to do so. Powerful, powerful. How many people know some people here? You see my little markings? I don't know if you can see the little orange marking there. That's where I just read from. Okay. How many people know other people that every time you look around, they say, I can't tell people what I'm doing. I can't tell people what I'm up to, because if I do, something's going to happen. They're going to do something to me, or they're going to take something away from me, or whatever. Well, you got to get out of that plane of competition, because it's not about competition. There's more. There's lots. There's an abundance for us all. And again, as I said in my intro video, you cannot take what is mine. I cannot take what is yours, because what is yours, and what is mine, what belongs to me, belongs to me. You cannot take it. I cannot take yours. So again, it's that mindset of competition. Unfortunately, it's a brainwashing that has happened, that continues to happen. And you will have it where, you'll have companies that'll say, well, hey, let's do a healthy competition. Well, in those type of situations, there's nothing healthy about it, because there are oftentimes you want to know and want to learn what other people are doing and how they did it and how they were successful. And because they have the competition mindset in their head, they're not going to tell you, because in their mind, they believe that you will go and you will advance further. But he said it so eloquently that, let me just reread it again, because it's so powerful. Some of this stuff you got to reread to reread to reread. He says, people must be taught to become rich by creation, not by competition. Every man who becomes rich by competition throws down behind him the ladder by which he rises and keeps others down. But every man who gets rich by creation opens a way for thousands to follow him and inspires them to do so. Mindset, people. Mindset, 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 mindset. And when you have that mindset, you become masterful. And when you become masterful, you open up the universe to continue to not only give you blessings, but supernatural blessings. There is a science of getting rich. Mr. Wallace D. Waddles wrote it. He wrote it. We've got to read it. Take heed, folks. This has been an exciting time. I thank you for those people who are going to be listening to this on the replay. Get your books. Get your books. For those people who like to play lotto and say, oh my goodness, if someone told me here's $1 million, here's $1 billion, here's $1 trillion, here's generational wealth, well, I'm here to tell you, this is better than a lotto ticket. This here is going to cause you to create generational wealth. You've just got to know how serious this is. This is going to cause you to create generational wealth. I'm looking at you right in the camera. Print it out. You don't even have to go look for it. I've already put the link there. Print this out immediately, or go straight to Barnes & Noble or Amazon, whomever you get your books from. Get the book or print out the PDF. Start listening to the audio. Get your mind ready, because your mind must be transformed in order for you to understand the science of getting rich. Oh my goodness. Thank you guys for joining, for listening on the replay. Leave your comments below. Tell me how chapter 1 made you feel. Tell me what it means to you when you read it. What does it mean to you? When you hear and you read chapter 1, what resonates with you and why? What was that thing? What was that paragraph? What was that sentence? What was that phrase that Mr. Wallace D. Waddles used that caused something to resonate within your soul? Share it. Feel free to share it. I want to hear from you. I want to hear your feedback. I want to know your feedback because it's important. Because something that may resonate with me, you may have another paragraph. You may have another sentence. You may have another group of words that he mentioned in chapter 1 that resonated with you. So I'm just so excited. And I'm just very super appreciative for those people who are really, really ready on learning, on really learning and getting their spiritual antennas up. So then we can learn the science of getting rich. There's a science to everything that we do. There's a science of everything, every waking moment. But we have never been taught the science of getting rich. And listen, folks, it's right here. It's right here. Have a good evening. Thank you for listening. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for listening to the replay, and be sure to leave your comments below. And for those that are going to watch this also on YouTube, this I will also send over to YouTube. Leave your comments there as well. Thanks a lot. AnneHumphrey, transformational life coach and speaker, creator of the Science of Getting Rich Mindset and Mastermind group. Thank you for joining. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Bye-bye now. Wow.